Hey there everybody, and welcome back to more Silent Hill 3. And what do we have here but a rather annoying enemy known as a Slurper. They may not seem that annoying, but they have a few tricks. Yeah, they like to play dead, they like to stay low to the ground, so most of your melee swings, unless they're an overhand, will pretty much miss them. So I figured, since I haven't shown off the handgun in quite some time, and we did get a silencer, I might as well show that off. But I think before we continue, we can actually get into the mental health clinic. It's right nearby. And since we didn't explore that before, since it was locked in the normal Hilltop Center, I think we should go ahead and pop in there real quick just to see what's going on. So, outside of a dead plant, what else catches Heather's attention but what appears to be a photograph? Well, we'll find out it's a photograph in just a second, but what really matters is the message on the back about finding the Holy One. And gasp, it's Heather. It could possibly have been Douglas who took the photo, but who wrote the message on the back, we can't actually be for certain.
Heather. That's what you're called now, isn't it?
And who are you?
The name's Vincent. Don't forget it, okay? I'm on your side.
So you say. But how do I know you're not with her?
Her? You mean Claudia? Please don't lump me together with her. She was totally brainwashed by that crazy old hag. Well, I guess crazy old hag is a bit harsh. She is your mother, after all.
My mother? What do you mean?
You don't remember? Ah, so Harry didn't tell you anything. I guess he hid the truth to keep you on his side, eh? That figures. He's a pretty sneaky guy.
Don't talk about my dad like that!
Sorry. I apologize. Please, calm down.
How do you know my father anyway?
I know everything. I know about your past, too.
Then tell me what's going on.
You don't know even that?
That's why I'm asking. If you know everything, then tell me how I can put an end to this.
Not yet. Why not enjoy yourself a bit longer?
Enjoy? I feel like I'm going crazy. Does this place get to you at all?
It gets to me, all right. I find it most fascinating. Wait! I'm not finished talking!
I knew you were on her side.
How do you figure?
There's something wrong with you, too.
So we finally get to meet another human being, but it seems that he is not quite mentally well either. But he does seem to know Claudia, and that is yet another red light as to whether or not Vincent is actually dangerous. But we picked up a few healing items and another item, I think it was oxidol, which, if we read this chemistry book, might help us with a puzzle in the future. I'm actually not too good at chemistry, considering that I'm fairly awful at math, but we won't get into my high school learnings. Instead, we actually have pretty much all the Hilltop Center to go through in the Otherworld scenario, and it will be a lot more dangerous than it was in our initial goings in the normal world. Now, something I should explain, since I didn't really bring it up whenever we found the silencer, is that since the game actually does have a rather large focus on stealth, you can actually muffle the sound of your handgun so that you can take out one enemy without drawing the attention of any others. The main drawback is that it actually does lower the damage of the handgun, and considering that the handgun did awful damage in the first place, it is kind of a mixed blessing. But since we are using the handgun, and I am taking a little bit more damage than I'd like, we may as well show off the bulletproof vest as well. Gives you a nice indication of the decrease in speed that Heather may suffer whenever trying to run around. But thankfully, in the Otherworld Hilltop Center, the elevators actually work for some bizarre reason. And with our selection of floors, I think the best place to start is on the first floor. Maybe the front doors are just wide open for us and we can leave. What the hell is that? Well, for one thing, that's completely blocking the front door of the Hilltop Center, so it looks like we're going to have to figure out some way around it. And what do we have here? But a little children's fairy tale that Heather is actually kind of familiar with. You can pause this at your own leisure. Yet again, I can just surmise it to say that there was a big monster blocking the gates to a village, and the king sent out all of his knights to try to fight the monster, and the monster just kind of laughed at it as they stabbed and poked at it, and the monster proceeded to eat all the knights, and including the horses, which is truly sad. So, unsure of what to do, the king decided that maybe he should send out the high priestess, who will hopefully figure out some means to get rid of the monster. Obviously, you can kind of draw your own allusions to the current situation that we are in right now, but sadly it seems like the rest of the book is missing. So maybe we can try to find where the rest of the book is in the Hilltop Center. And yeah, try as you might, shooting, stabbing, doing anything to that will do absolutely nothing. Oh. Be very careful. We don't want to arouse this insane cancer. But in this bar area, you can actually tell, well, there's something in the fridge waiting for us. Ah, pork liver. Sure, that will distract many a thing. And there is something nice on the table next to the insane cancer. Some more shotgun shells. And we won't even worry about Chubbs. Let's just get out of here. And with that, we've actually covered all the doors on the first floor. So I think it's time to go ahead and check out what the other floors hold for us. Now we were already on the second floor, so I guess the third floor would be the next one to try. Or not. I guess the third floor is inaccessible. And we can see the other floors of the Hilltop Center have had a pretty dramatic overhaul from their normal counterpart. Lots of nice wood paneling and hanging meats, I suppose. And that covers the fourth floor for right now. Maybe the fifth floor will hold some luck for us. And still, sadly, the Otherworld Hilltop Center still has no accessible bathrooms. Quite a bummer. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the Slurpers here. They are actually a lot quicker than you might assume. They actually have a rather nasty charging attack. They will knock Heather onto the ground, and they will do a move kind of like the double heads, where they'll start gnawing on her ankles. They are actually one of the more annoying enemies in the game to some, but if you're actually a little careful, they're not too bad. They actually don't really do that much damage. The main danger that they pose is that they normally come in very large numbers, at least 3 or 4 to a hallway. And we got some matches here. That actually is the final part of a puzzle for the Hilltop Center. If you can recall, we have oxidol, a pork liver, and matches. Pretty much prime components for making a nice little fire. And it looks like the only thing on this particular floor is the Gallery of Fine Arts, so... Do we recall something regarding fire in the gallery? And another nice little in-game nod to the film Session 9. For those of you who have seen the movie, you'll very much recognize this particular hallway setup. Well, at least on the other side of the mirror. But it seems that Heather is not going to be able to break the glass, and more than likely, wherever this mirror, or what's on the other side of this mirror leads, it's probably not a place we want to go. And the first thing we will notice where the safe symbol is actually where that painting Repressor of Memories was. Yet again, just kind of drawing an allusion to the symbol and the lack of memory, or the gaining of old forgotten memories. And yeah, the painting that was missing in the normal Hilltop Center Art Gallery is now present. As Flame Purifies All, showing a rather stark, fiery image of something that was actually brought up more in the Silent Hill movie, but was vaguely referenced in Silent Hill 1 regarding the burning of a martyr for their religion or their order back in the Civil War, I think. But it appears that we're going to have to start a fire. And thankfully, like I said before, we have the prime components to do so with the oxidol, the pork liver, and the matches. And it looks like it has revealed what was called a doorway to paradise, but I'm assuming it's really not going to be that. And you may be wondering why we couldn't just set fire directly to the painting. Well, it's because the game needed us to fetch some items. But it looks like there is another artistic piece waiting for us behind the art gallery wall here. A number of hanging blackened bodies and ears. But what's more important is that waiting down a floor is actually more of that fairy tale. So the king has sent the priestess off to try and fight the monster, and the priestess is hoping to use kind words instead of killing. But the monster seems to want no part of that and is more than happy to eat her, or want to eat everything that comes near him, or it. And the priestess tries to, reason with it, and that doesn't really work out too well. Well, Heather did say that was the rest of the story, but we're actually still missing the ending. I'm assuming a children's fairy tale wouldn't end with the main character dying. rest assured, if we were not using the silencer, whenever we would open fire on one Slurper, pretty much any other Slurper in the nearby hallway would come rushing at us, full tilt, ready to knock us on our ass. Like that. Yet again, not very damaging, but if there are other enemies nearby or multiple Slurpers, you're going to be in for quite a bit of damage. Thankfully though, wearing the bulletproof vest is actually saving us quite a bit of health. But I think... yeah, I'm actually kind of tired of the pistol. Let's switch back to the katana, which we haven't actually seen that much use out of. Now, you may have heard that melee is not really the best way to go with Slurpers, but it just takes a bit of finesse, a little bit of skill, if you will, which I may or may not have. We'll see. But yet again, keep in mind, only the overhead slash will actually connect with the Slurper. But, as you could tell, a couple of quick slashes with the katana brought it down fairly quickly. Yeah, that's addicting. You may have been wondering why I was stealthily trying to go around the bed. Well, that's because there was a Slurper in wait underneath, and I was kind of hoping to, well, slash it through the bed, but that was a no-go. You can technically try to shoot it, but since I just switched weapons, I didn't really feel like switching out, and like I said before, they really don't do that much damage. Wanting to double check because there are some hallways in the Hilltop Center where they'll actually spawn enemies behind you after you've entered in and reached a certain point in the hallway. It'll be a rather nasty surprise if you're already dealing with one enemy in the front and another one jumps you from behind. Now, it's like a big pile of money just waiting to be stolen. But Heather is a relatively good person, so she'll only take one coin. And really, we won't have much use for a whole pile of silver coins. One'll do. That is beyond me. So let's use our fancy silver coin to buy a soda. For no particular reason. Let's go with that. Thankfully that soda actually had no cooling beverage, but instead held the key to the office down on the first floor. Kind of a roundabout way to get a key, but I'm sure there's some deeper symbolism that's completely lost to me on that front. So let's just go ahead and make a little jump cut back down to the first floor. And you may remember the one locked door down here. Yeah, there's more Slurpers, but I'm honestly tired of fighting them at this point. And around this rather odd circling of gurneys is actually the final part of the fairy tale. So, with the priestess now dead, all the people were crying, and God took pity upon them, and raised the priestess from the dead. And the priestess, now a zombie, decided to feed upon the monster, and everybody cheered, even though they were shortly murdered by the zombie priestess. No, that's not what happened at all. What actually happened is that the priestess, rather saddened by the lack of other options, well, she decided that she had no other choice than to use a magic spell to kill the monster dead. And rather coincidentally, it actually has the magic words in the story itself, and by saying the magic spell, the priestess was able to vanquish the monster.
Tu fui ego eris. Weird writing. What was that?
So, for those of you that may have a brain cell or two, you might have assumed that, well, the story was really connected with what was currently going on in the Hilltop Center, and by quoting those magic words, hopefully now that obstruction to the front door should now be gone. And in all truthfulness, you actually don't need to read every part of the fairy tale. You can actually just make your way to the ending here after getting that soda can key. And by reading the last part, well, the monster will just disappear, and Heather will make some mention of, wow, I wonder where the rest of the story is. So, you don't really need to read all of it, but it's a rather interesting little set piece to the Otherworld Hilltop Center. Yeah, the monster is completely gone, and the gates should be wide open to leave the village. And rather suddenly, we find ourselves back in the normal world, or as normal as it can possibly be with huge draped walls, but with that, I think it's a good stopping point. Hopefully you'll join me next time as we continue, hopefully, to Heather's apartment.